Hello, everyone. This is Sistah Crystal here with Let's Talk Classic Hip Hop, and I'm back with another review brought to you by the TV gods. Well, as you know from the last review, if you've heard, I do not have cable TV, so I have been blessed yet again to find a resource where I'm able to see this show growing up hip hop and bring another review. This is kind of an experiment for me, so I appreciate you guys comments and encouragement from the last review. So here we go. We'll jump right into it. This week is not as boring as last week. This week has a lot of very deep and drama filled this week. Okay, so first off, so I'm going to start with some of the least drama filled parts and then work my way on up. So, okay, so we have Romeo with his Romeo and Angela again, the fake love triangle looks like that they're having this week. This week they were talking about so last week, if you seen last week, you saw the part where Romeo and Angela go into the hotel room and it made it look like something might be going on or whatever. And then when you see this week, all they were doing were they were eating some cold chicken nuggets and fries. And that's all they were doing inside the hotel room. But they also were on social media looking at comments from fans of the show and talking about the fans pretty much are saying the same thing I was saying, like, crap or get off the pot. Either y'all going to be together or not. But now in this episode, and I'm skipping around a little bit. I'm not going in order in which you would see the show. But okay, so towards the end, they show Romeo giving a call to TT, which is Pepa's niece. So Romeo calls Pepa's niece and asking to just go out and hang out. And so I said fake love triangle, because I did see they did some kind of flashback from previous episode, and Romeo was doing a photo shoot for one of his products or something like that, and Bree was there, and Brianna, I'm finally remembering the girl's name. Brianna was there, and she looked like she was kind of feeling the type of way, the way that Romeo was taking pictures with TT, Pepa's niece. So I guess the way the storyline is going, it's showing that Romeo really likes Angela, and TT likes Romeo, and Bree likes Romeo. So I don't know if they're trying to play up some kind of fake love triangle, and I'm saying fake because Romeo just comes across as just a nice guy that likes to flirt, be flirty, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But some women, you can't just be flirting with them like that. You have to know where to draw the line. Like you can't flirt with somebody like Brianna. She'll take it and think you really want her or something like that. I just kind of got a feeling that Romeo is just the type of guy that likes to give compliments, and that's it. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that he, wants anything more. He just likes to be flirty and have fun. So that's what I got out of it. So that's it for that. So we'll see if they're gonna do anything more with the fake love triangle. And then Angela seemed like the type that if she see that a guy that's interested in her is being interested in someone else, she might kind of come in there and be like a cock blocker and act like she like him just to get the women away from him. So you gotta watch out for that, Angela. So and speaking of that, Angela, she's kind of a savage, especially when it comes to dealing with her sister Vanessa. So, okay, so in this episode, Angela arrives to Vanessa's office to discuss their business dealings and what she's decided to do, right? And Angela come in there all gangster, like, hey, we need to talk. And the sister's just on the phone. She didn't look like, hey, hi. Now, let me rephrase that. She may have spoke to her and said hi. I just have to remember, and viewers have to remember that this is a show. So they may edit things and cut things together to make it look a certain way, but maybe it's not that way. So maybe Angela actually spoke to her sister and said hello before she sat down and said we need to talk, but you really didn't see that in the scene when they showed it. But anyway, Angela came and she gives her sister, I think Vanessa is the older sister, older than Angela, but anywho, she gives her sister the news that she may not be able to go in a partnership with her because she's getting ready to accept a partnership with the Coogee brand. And if you remember Coogee, I haven't heard Coogee since the early 1990s with Notorious B.I.G. wearing the Coogee wear. I don't know who is still wearing Coogee in 2018. Like, that's old. I haven't seen anybody wear that brand since the 1990s. And then she wants to, kind of play her sister to the left for Coogee. I don't know if that's a good idea. But who am I? I'm the type of person, I get my clothes from Target. So what do I know? But anyway, I think it's a bad deal for her to leave her sister. And Vanessa, she doesn't really need Angela. I don't know if she feels not confident enough to have a brand by herself without Angela. I don't feel that Vanessa needs Angela. And I'm not really sure why she keeps holding on to her like she needs her to go in a partnership. If Angela want to act wishy-washy and don't want to be in a partnership, leave her alone. Angela, you don't need Angela. Y'all sisters, y'all just be sisters and hang out. But if she keeps being wishy-washy, that means she going to be wishy-washy in your business, and you don't have time for that with your money. I don't care if it's family or not. And again, I think Angela is making a mistake by going with Coogee, something that's so old, and I don't know anybody, or I don't see anybody that's still wearing that. So, oh well, whatever. Maybe it's the new 2008 brand of Coogee. Baby. I guess they trying to bring it back. Okay. So Pep. Yeah, I know I love Salt and Pepa. And Pepa is life. She is still life. However, in this episode, she has a much smaller, you don't see her that much in this episode. But, okay, so you see her, you see Pep, and she's in the kitchen with her daughter, Egypt, and her niece, Titi. And they're just going over, the situation that happened. Okay, they were, who was? Okay, so Pep was going over what happened at the cleansing ceremony because Titi wasn't there, but Pep and Egypt was. And you remember how Pep uncleansed the cleansing by throwing her champagne in the fire, in the little sacred fake fire that Brianna had for the fake cleansing ceremony that was just, she had no business trying to cleanse anybody, But anyway, so okay, so they're in the kitchen, and while they're in the kitchen, they're Peppa's getting ready to cook. And if you didn't know, now Pep with her partner Salt, they had a show called Cooking with Salt and Pepper or something like that, a cooking show. So I'm not surprised they had showed Peppa in there cooking. She's getting ready to cook some chicken, and it's so funny. Okay, so she pulls out these very nice pots, and these pots are from world-renowned chef Emerald. If you people know anything about the celebrity chefs, and it is like gold on the bottom, and it's look real pretty. And her daughter and her niece were like, don't cook the chicken in that. we want you to cook the chicken in the old pots. And Peppa's like, oh, you want me to cook the chicken in the old pots with the little black stuff that comes off every time I cook and scrape the bottom? They was like, yeah, we want that. She's like, okay, then I'll just keep on poisoning y'all with these old pots. And I just thought that was cute, and that's one thing I love about Peppa's scenes. Even though this is only my second time seeing it for myself, I can tell that Pep likes to put a little bit of humor in her stuff, and you really need that, especially in this episode. That was the only time where I chuckled in this episode, because this episode was just heavy, real heavy episode. So and so in addition to that, Pep was talking and who was that? Egypt. I don't know, it was Egypt or her niece was telling Pep that they had there was an intervention that happened for Boogie, and Pep was really kind of upset that she wasn't invited, but we're not surprised that she wasn't invited, because she had got into it with Dame Dash while he's trying to blame her for his son's alcoholism and stuff like that. And she got into it with Brianna at the fake cleansing ceremony. So she shouldn't be surprised that she wasn't invited. But her view was that since Dame is trying to place the blame on her for his son spiraling out of control after one drink, that she should have been there to try to help. And she had already said she wanted to help him and all that. But my view is that it's good that she didn't need to be there. They didn't need to be there, because that whole thing, it's a mess. I really hope he can get the help he needs, but she really didn't need to be there, because mainly her and Dame Dash hadn't really worked out their differences or whatever. And since he's trying to find people to blame other than placing the blame on himself, it probably wouldn't have been a good thing for her to be there anyway. And Egypt and TT was saying they were left out by default since she's their mom, which that was probably a good move too, because if they say something really slick to her niece, or especially to her daughter, Pep, she already got that anger issue. So we don't need that make more problems where there really is none. So I think it was best that she wasn't there. But yeah, I don't think it was fair for him to try to blame her. Well, he didn't try to blame her. He did blame Pep, which that was like really wrong of Dame Dash to do that. Okay. So on the speaking of the intervention, the ambush. This was an ambush intervention. Boogie didn't know anything about it, and Brianna was the one that took him to the hotel or whatever location that they went to. Okay, now Christinia. Now Christinia is the daughter of James DeBarge from the DeBarge family. Now she shows up in this episode, and I'm like, Christinia, great to see ya. She set it off, honey. I'm like, whoa, okay. So Christinia was in the intervention also. I believe Dame actually was the one that invited her. And okay, so it was a bunch of people in the room. It was Dame Dash with his girlfriend Rocky, and who else? Christinia. And it was Damon Dash's, he has a daughter and her boyfriend, and then you got Brianna and Boogie. And then I think they had an intervention specialist or something like that. So they were all in there, and they all, take turns telling how they feel about Boogie, alcoholism or drug use or whatever, and that they really are pleading for him to go get some help, get into rehab and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the things, okay, so Boogie, that the entire time when he was in there, he's like kind of looking, kind of like, this is some BS. That he really wasn't feeling the intervention at all. And then and mainly because he was saying that if his father really cared and wanted to help him, he could have been and helped him. He knew that his son had an issue and waited all this time and wants to do the intervention in front of the camera. So I'm just doing the short of it, which I totally agree with him. Now, if you guys remember, if you were able to see, they did a flashback to a previous episode with Dame Dash. He had a video. He was watching a video on the phone, and I believe it was a video of Boogie, and he was, I guess he was knocked out or something, but you hear what sounds like Damon Dash's voice, and he just keeps saying, Boogie, Boogie, Boogie. He keeps saying his name, and then while he's looking at the video, he's like dead. So I'm like, okay, if I am the parent, I'm not going to stand there and keep calling my child's name and not do anything. If it was my child, I would be calling 911. I would be doing I would be doing more than just standing there just repeating my child's name. I mean, from that point, his son should have been in somebody's rehab right away, just like what they're doing in this episode. And Dame Dash said something about something called a 5150. Now, I looked that up. 5150 code, that's a section in the California Welfare and Intervention Code, which basically says if you feel that someone is a danger to themselves or others, that you can have a 72-hour mental illness hold. It's involuntarily. So that means you can involuntarily put someone else in a mental hold, some mental hospital, whatever, for 72 hours, so that to keep watch on them. So Dame Dash, so I'm fast forwarding it. So now at this point they're outside because Boogie was like, this is some BS. And he got really upset when Dame Dash said something about, if you don't go to rehab, you're off the show, because, we're not going to use this show to put money in your pocket so you can keep using drugs, which I kind of understand where he's going with that. But, his son is kind of like, he don't really think that that's totally sincere, because he could have been and helped him. But anyway, so Boogie got upset. He leaves out. Everybody follows him. Now, this is where, so Christinia, and before I go there, okay, so when Christinia, she was explaining why she was there, and she was saying that she really understands, she knows, because her father, his struggles with addiction and everything, and she sees him like a brother, and she doesn't want anything to happen to him. And the way the editing was done, it made it look like Christinia cut off Brianna when she was talking, but that wasn't true. It was just editing that was edited in such a way to make it look like Christinia cut Brianna off, but she didn't. So anyway, so fast forward to outside. So now they all piled outside after Boogie left, and Brianna, and I don't know what they're going to call her now. I'm not going to, after learning that, and I'm kind of deviating a little bit here, I just found out that Mary J. Blige's divorce from Brianna's father was just finalized a few days ago or something like that. So now I'm wondering if the show is going to continue to call her Mary J. Blige's stepdaughter. I'm really kind of aggravated with it. I was always aggravated with that term, but I didn't know what else to call her. I didn't even know the girl's name. So now I'm doing reviews. I'm learning her name. But maybe I don't know if they need to do assist and assist and desist or whatever. Like, stop calling her Mary J. Blige's stepdaughter. I don't even think she has any kind of relationship with Mary J. Blige. She's trying to help her father send that woman to the poorhouse. She was trying to help her father take every dime from Mary J. Blige. So I don't think she even has any kind of relationship with Mary J. Blige. So now that the divorce has been final, I don't know what title they're gonna give her. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna say Kendu's daughter. Like, who the heck is Kendu? I didn't even know who that was until this divorce, but whatever. Maybe I'll just call her Cleanser. Miss Cleanser. Have the Pepa called her Cleanser. I'll just call her Cleanser. Nah, I'll call her Brianna. But I am kind of curious as to, are they going to change it, or I kind of doubt it. I think they have a few more episodes left in this season, and they've been calling her the stepdaughter. So I think they might continue to call her that. But I'm not going to refer to her as stepdaughter. I'll try to remember her name and go from there. But anyway, so Brianna sees Christinia, and instead of just saying hi like a normal person, she goes, well, what did she say? Why didn't you speak to me? I'm a human too, or something like that. And Christinia was like, I did speak to you. I said hi. And Brianna was like, well, you owe me an apology. And Christinia was like, nah, you owe me an apology. And then they just went a little back and forth. But my thing is, the energy that it took for Brianna to try to say that she didn't speak to her, Brianna could have just said, hi, hey, Christinia, how are you? Some people are just so negative. They just don't know when to stop. And, it's like, ugh. But anyway, this girl is in no position to be no cleanser. She's no position to be no interventionist. She got a lot of issues on herself, and she really twisted it and made it about herself. And even in the car, okay, so they finally ended up in the car. Brianna and Boogie ended up in the car going to rehab or whatever, and she's like fake apologizing to Boogie, like, oh, I'm sorry, this is supposed to be about you, it's not about me. And he was like, that's okay or whatever, it is about you. And she was like, good, because I'm mad or something like that. But it's like, ooh, honey. And then Christinia, it fast forward to another scene where she's with Egypt and TT, telling them about what happened. And in so many words, Christinia was like, I need to stay away from her, because if I see her, I'm going to put my hands on her. So in other words, Christinia is like, hey, she ain't trying to catch no case, which is probably explains why she hasn't been on the show, which is a shame, because if one of them needs to go, Brianna needs to go. And I absolutely, now I said all the children were boring, but this child, Christinia, she is not boring. In fact, what I've noticed about Christinia energy matches Brianna's energy, except Christinia comes across as the, like, how in the old cartoons you would see an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. Christinia is like the angel, the kind of rough angel, and then Brianna is more like the evil one. But they both have that energy, and it's just explosive. So, yeah, the show would be a lot more interesting with Christinia on there. They can get rid of Brianna, but I'm not sure if she's going anywhere as long as she, hanging on the coattails of Boogie and Dame Dash. She'll have a place on there. But I said all that to say, okay, so fast forward. So Boogie is in the rehab, and he's talking to the, I guess she's the intake specialist. And long story short, Boogie was saying that his relationship with his father is more like an employee employer type relationship. And he was talking about how he felt alone and all that, and he felt like he really couldn't talk to his father because then, when he was a lot younger and his father found that he was taking drugs or whatever, and I don't know if he was in a rehab or something like that, but he said his father told him that he needed rehab, and this was a long time ago, that he needed rehab, but he wasn't going to pay for it. And the rehab reportedly cost like $60,000. And it sounded like his father had the money to pay for it, but he told his son, like, yeah, you need rehab, but I'm not paying for it. Now, what kind of parent would say, hey, I know you need rehab. I know you is something, this is a resource that you need, and I have the ability to pay for it, but I'm not going to do it. What parent does that? But anyway, Boogie, he was going off, and he pretty much was saying Dame Dash is doing this for the cameras because he could have been and intervened, and I totally agree with Boogie. And on that note, I must say, where is this child's mother in all of this? Where is Boogie's mother? Now, you're getting old when you start calling people in their 20s children. But while I was listening to him say how he felt alone on the West Coast and all of that, and he couldn't talk to his father, where is his mother? Now, on a serious note, I remember years ago that there was a custody battle with his mom. I think his mother's name is Linda Williams, and she's a little older than Damon Dash. I think she's probably about 5 or 6 years older than him, something like that. Damon Dash, I think he had Boogie when he was like 19 years old, and his mom was probably about like 24 or something like that. But I remember back in the early 2000s, like 2002 or 2003, hearing about Damon Dash took over custody of Boogie from his mother. And I think Boogie was probably about 10 years old at the time. And up until then, my understanding, and this is allegedly or whatever, not trying to get sued, is out there. Anyway, allegedly, he took custody of Boogie when he was 10 years old from his mother. And I'm not sure why. Like, they didn't say like the mother was any danger to the child or to herself or anything. It was just one day she was raising him by herself all these years, and then Dame Dash comes and strips custody from her. And I think at one point she wasn't even able to have visitation with her son. And the only reason I remember this because it seemed like they had a custody battle that went on forever, it seemed like. I think the custody battle went on for like 5 years or something like that. And this was with the mother trying to regain custody of her son. And or at least some type of visitation. Now, I don't understand for the life of me why custody was taken away from the mother, because they never said anything about her, like I said, being any kind of danger to the child. And as you know, a lot of times when they take custody from the mother, it's really bad. But in this situation, there was no evidence out there to say that his mother was any kind of danger and shouldn't be around him. So from what I gathered from it was Damon Dash just took custody of Boogie just because he could. It just seemed really evil and mean-spirited in the way in which it went about. If she wasn't a danger to her son, I mean, Now, let me rephrase that. I understand he's a male child and he needs a father in his life, but that doesn't mean that you cut the mother out of his life. And that's what I got out of it. And this is my own opinion. Um, and it's backed with facts because he went all that time without his mom. And when they were going back and forth, I remember reading in Sister to Sister magazine, and that was the magazine with Jamie Foster Brown. Check her out. I don't think she does interviews anymore, but she is like the best, in my opinion, journalist ever. Because artists, when they would talk to her, they would pour their heart out. They called her auntie. If you wanted to get the real scoop on the celebrities, you read Sister to Sister magazine, because the artist felt free to talk to her. She didn't write stories up like a tabloid type thing. And she was just a wonderful journalist. But I remember reading an article on Boogie's mom, and she was crying, literally, like saying she didn't have visitation, and that Damon Dash is taking the son, keeping him up all night and not making sure he goes to school. And this is real. You can back up what I'm saying. And that he going to having him do DJing at these clubs, but not making sure he's in school. And she was going to court and telling the courts, like, look, he's, keeping our child out all hours of the night. He's around places where there's drinking. And this is documented. And after a lot of, maybe about 5 or 6 years, Boogie briefly went back to live with his mom. And I don't know what happened, but then he ended up back with his father. But now, seeing what's going on with Boogie right now, I'm wondering if, that was also a trigger with him not having his mother around, because you don't hear anything about the mom. Now, I know he had a girlfriend. Dame Dash got a girlfriend, but a girlfriend, your wife, your significant other will never, ever, ever take the place of your mother. And if his mother is of sound mind and she's around and she's able to help, she needs to be in her son's life. He needs his mother. Now, a lot of times you see situations, it's the opposite. You say, where's the daddy? Where's the father? Well, in this case, the father is there, but he needs his mom. And you see how things get unbalanced when you don't have the mother and the father. Yeah, he's a male child, and then I'm not bashing Dame Dash. I think he did what he thought was best for his son. But when you think you know everything and you won't listen, sometimes stuff happens. Or when you're too hard on a child for no reason, things happen. A mom brings that energy that fathers don't have, and vice versa. And so all them years with that custody battle, Dame Dash may have won the battle. He may have won the battle, but he lost the war. Because, he managed to get custody of Boogie, but at what cost? And like I said before, I didn't see or read anything saying that his mother was any kind of danger, that they couldn't have joint custody or something like that. And now here we are talking about drug rehab intervention for this young man years later. So I'm going to end it there. But I'm going to put up that 1-800 drug number again for people that may need help. Hopefully that'll help someone. But to wrap it up, this episode was really heavy, very deep, and very draining. So that's kind of interesting. So it was one extreme to another. So last week was kind of goofy or whatever a little bit. But this week is the total opposite. So looking forward to next week. Hopefully the TV gods will appear next week so that I can give a review in time. I'm actually kind of enjoying this. So, and I appreciate it. I didn't mean to go so long, but like, comment, subscribe, give some feedback. I greatly appreciate that. And again, this has been Sistah Crystal with Let's Talk Classic Hip Hop. And until next time, take care.